What is going on, guys? Welcome to Stock Talk with Nico Criticos. Today, we're going to be doing some stock analysis for Nvidia stock because this past week I started picking up some shares. I finally think the valuation is attractive enough to start buying into this. And the main situation we got to address here is the tariff situation, right? Because Nvidia is one of those stocks that is pretty much going to face higher expenses and higher costs because of Trump's tariffs now. But the good news is that so Nvidia uses Taiwan Semiconductor along with, we have Intel, AMD, of other companies that also use Taiwan Semiconductor to manufacture the chips. But this time around, we have a Taiwan Semiconductor location or manufacturing center in Phoenix, Arizona now. And in 2025, they are expected to start production. And then in 2028, they are expected to start production of the higher tech chips for Nvidia and these other companies. So that's the good news, which really that should bring down cost a lot, right? And I think if they can do this, then I think that companies like Nvidia, even though it may cost a little bit more to manufacture in the United States, it still is a possibility. And as long as our government is investing in things like this, then I think that will help out these companies. But let's go back to right here. Well, if we can see it. But back in 2018, when Trump put tariffs on the first time, I mean, it probably affected them more so back then, but the stock pretty much fell about 50%. So just keep that in mind that if the same thing were to happen today, then this stock would be $75. So that is a possibility, which is why I did not make this into a huge position just yet. But if I had to bet money on it, I wouldn't think that the stock would go down that much. I think it's a little less extreme this time. So maybe we see a 30 to 40% drop, which who knows? Maybe 112 was the bottom for the stock. Who knows? But let's just say it goes under $100 or something. Okay, well then I'm happy to pick up more shares, and that's that. But when you look at the valuation for this, let's look at the valuation. Here's the last 5 years of Nvidia stock P ratio. As you can see, where the stock was 4 days ago at 47 times trailing earnings, this is the cheapest the stock has been. And that was 4 days ago. In the last week here, the stock has fell an extra 12.5%, right? So let's run the numbers here. We have a $117 stock, and for 2025, they're expected to do $3. You're paying 39 times this year's earnings. For next year, they're expected to do $4.50. You're paying 26 times next year's earnings, which is super cheap, right? Because if this stock wants to trade how it's been trading, it's probably going to trade at least 50 times earnings, which means this stock for this year should be easily $150. And then for next year, the stock should easily be at least $220 for next year. So that's the way I look at this. Now, sure, these numbers can come down a little bit if these tariffs truly have a huge effect. Then sure, maybe they miss their earnings by a little bit, and okay, it's a small difference there. Keep in mind, I just ran the numbers using 50 times earnings. Okay, that's pretty much the bottom for the stock. This stock can trade at 70 or 80 times earnings too, so don't forget that. Now, as far as how much of an effect these tariffs are going to have on the cost, from based on what I was reading, since Nvidia is such an important company, they have strong pricing power throughout the supply chain. These costs can get passed down, and so again, I'm not super worried, and I'm not super bearish on how these tariffs are going to be a huge expense for this company. So either way, you got to remember who Nvidia is, and even if this is an additional cost they have to face, remember who Nvidia is, the technology they have, the market share, the brand name they have, all that stuff, the industry they're in, the demand for their chips that they're going to have over the next couple of years, and all that stuff. So that's the way I look at this. And again, I think the risk to reward here is very attractive, and so I'm happy to start buying shares. But doesn't mean I'm calling this the bottom for the stock. How I said, if the same thing were to happen that happened last time Trump put tariffs on, well then sure, this stock potentially could go to $75 if that's like worst case scenario, I think. Because last time in late 2018, things were more we had a more severe bear market going on then. So I don't really think the stock's going to $75, but who knows? Let's say it drops a little bit more. Just be ready for that, be prepared. So I wouldn't make a huge position right now, which is why I only put whatever $1,500 in here. And so that is my analysis for Nvidia. I finally am happy buying the stock because for the longest time I feel like the valuation has been way too high. But again, with the numbers I just ran, you're paying, you know, 30 times earnings for what they're going to do. So 30 times earnings is nothing. The stock normally trades at 55, 65, 75. So that is my analysis for Nvidia. Let me know what you guys think down below. And if there's any other stocks you want me to do, let me know. But I will see you in the next video.